Okay, welcome back to the Carbatiques official podcast. This is Waxed and Unfiltered, where we go behind the marketing, we go behind the claims, we go behind the gloss and the beads. And today is officially episode 3 of the brand new TCB Podcast channel. And essentially, this is an extension of the Detailing Truth podcast we did a few weeks ago. It was set up by Andreas. And once again, Andreas tees these podcasts up, gives me 24 hours to sort it. Okay, he's like a podcaster on steroids. But Andreas, thank you very much for setting this up. If you are listening on Spotify, welcome. And if you're watching on YouTube, you're seeing 4 of the most handsome men currently in the detailing industry, all supporting beards. So this podcast should be called 4 Beards and a Podcast or something like that. So without further ado, I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves. You'll know 2 of them. You may not know one of the guests who is dialing in from lands afar. So like I said in the last podcast, we have gone truly global. So Mr. Towns, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I'm part of the TCB team, and this is my second podcast.
Welcome, Mr. Towns. Mr. Schwarzinger, everyone knows you, but if you'd like to introduce yourself and what you do and where you're dialing in from, more importantly.
Yeah, well, I think the regular viewers really know me, so I will only say I'm Andreas and I'm back.
And are you dialing in from Switzerland today?
Yes.
Excellent. And I've been really looking forward to this one. I know Andreas as well. We've got a very special guest, the star of the show. I'm trying not to embarrass Brian too much. But Brian, a quick introduction and more importantly, where you are dialing in from today.
My name's Brian. I have this pokey YouTube channel that's called Sheepstar. And I'm dialing in from British Columbia, Canada.
Fantastic. So what I envisage is going to happen here, it's really, really late where Brian is. He's going to progressively get more tired and fall asleep. And Andreas, me and Leon, okay, it's early in the morning and we'll progressively wake up. So the dynamic of this podcast is going to be really, really, really bizarre. Thank you very much.
Can we really just point out the length we go to make these podcasts happen? Almost 11 p.m. for Brian. 6:30 for you UK guys, it's 7:30 for me, which does not sound like a special thing, but anyone who knows me close and personally will know I am the single worst human being in the morning. It's horrendous. So it's
This is worrying, Andreas, because you're quite outspoken when you're on full form, but what is Andreas like when he's tired? This could go anywhere.
Anywhere, literally anywhere. Yep.
Excellent. Right then, okay, we are really looking forward to this podcast, and we've all agreed the gloves are off, and it's all about honesty, it's all about opinions, and we all know opinions are subjective, but as always, if you're watching this or listening to it on Spotify, the conversation carries on afterwards, and that's where the value is. We want you to listen to what we've got to say, express your opinion, and myself, Leon, Brian and Andres will look at the comments on YouTube and answer that so we can keep talking to you afterwards. So the first thing I want to do is come to Brian. You downplay your YouTube channel, Sheepstar. I've had a look. You have got nearly 1 million views on your videos, so it's not a small thing. But what was the genesis behind you starting your YouTube channel, and what was your aim when you were sitting there thinking, I know, I'll do a YouTube channel? It's quite different and unique the way you do business, but tell us about the evolution of Sheepstar.
Well, it was never supposed to actually be a channel. I was on forums since like 2013 or so, testing products, Detailing World UK. Being a Canadian, that was the forum I found the most interesting. So that's where I started testing products, and I put my hand up back in the day to test Finish Care 1000P, Colonite 476S, and Bilthammer Finish Wax. I put all 3 on the hood, and I let them go for 4 months and, settled the debate at the time, or it gave a piece of info at least.
Which one? One?
Finis.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I found Finis where I live to be very durable. It wasn't available for years. Someone actually from the UK shipped me a pot because I couldn't get it. But they're like, I have a sample pot. I want it to see this test done. So somebody did it, and it was pretty hilarious. But that was like 2013, and I didn't start uploading anything on YouTube until 2020 or something. I don't even remember, but it was years and years later. But I was doing it on forums for a long time, and it was... Once I started getting into a bit of a rhythm with it, that's when forums just started dying off as far as like popularity, and people would go on the forum and post a link to their YouTube video. And I was trying to get my content on the forums to be better. And I was like, I really would like some video to show water behavior, because I was doing it with a camera, like a real camera, but a camera nonetheless, which is kind of hard to say. This is what water beating and sheeting looks like from a photograph. It's not telling the same story. And so I started uploading clips to support written reviews under the handle that I had on YouTube, which was not supposed to be a channel, hence why my channel name is so stupid.
I was going to ask that,
but people
Brian,
started.
We'll come back to that.
So people started watching and subscribing to that handle, and I was like, oh crap, I can't change this now. I've got like 100 subscribers, so
yeah.
I just leaned into it. But I never did like a full video, or not many. I think I did like one or two, and I realized like, what's the point in putting it onto YouTube and then porting it over to the forum? Like it's one or the other. Like write it and take photos, or stick on YouTube. And I just started doing it, and then after a while, my channel, I was for a long time, I was never in the videos either, because the point of my channel wasn't me. It was just looking into products and trying them out and testing them and seeing what they do, and that was it, right? It was from that maximal amount of showing it instead of talking about it. And then, once some stuff happened in the detailing industry, I had a very strong opinion, and I was like, I can't just throw an opinion out there and hide behind the camera. I should probably pop out for that one, and,
Love that.
Do it like a man, as they say. Yeah. And then because I was doing that, I had opportunities to do a lot more things with the channel. And I made that video fairly unserious. Like the beginning of that video is me falling out of the chair to make it look like I was like the first time doing a video properly. It was a fake fall, in case you were wondering. But
it looked very natural. You did well.
There was some key editing of speeding up a little bit of it to make it look more violent at the start. It still hurt, but
Absolutely.
I've always liked video. Like Top Gear made me pay attention to cinematography and like especially blending audio and video in artistic ways. And I've always enjoyed that kind of work when people do it. Obviously, filming on a rectangle leaves me with not a ton of options, and the choice I made in camera gear never panned out for really bridging into video. But I just started doing that, and it just grew to a point.
Have you always had an interest
videos.
in detailing? Because you're not a professional detailer like Andreas.
No.
None of us are professional detailers. Where was that spark?
Neither.
Where did detailing suddenly, actually, I enjoy this, I want to produce content, honest content?
It came from a couple areas. Growing up, like we always, did the once a week house clean, like the Sunday clean. And there was a few times, like once every couple months, where you decided that, oh, you know what, let's rearrange the furniture and make the house different. And I remember it so funny because you do the big clean and you move everything out of the way and you're like, oh, let's put the couch over there and put these here. And you're like, this is way better. And then 2 months later, you move it all back. You're like, this is way better. And you just kind of kept going back and forth. But we always did that growing up. And it was always just something that like bothered me when things were, not clean. Like my office den thingy is very much not clean, but I haven't been spending time in here, so I can compartmentalize that one. But like anywhere I have to be for a while, I like to be, on a reasonable amount of tidy. But it's just, I find it fascinating, and keeping stuff clean is a way of keeping things nice. And I find I would rather have something that's not crazy valuable that's nice than something that's really valuable but in terrible condition. And like it's very expensive to live these days. You can have a really clean basic car or a trashed like fancy car. I'm taking the clean basic car. I would rather be that person than be the person who trashes their things. It happens to cars have become appliances for so many people. Like, I don't know. I feel embarrassed when people have to get into one of my cars and it's not clean.
Oh, you haven't been in mine recently. You haven't been in my car recently.
Don't go into his car, honestly.
Yeah.
You wipe your feet when you come out. I love a clean car. It just makes you feel good when you're inside it. And it doesn't matter what the car is. It's yours. You've looked after it. And
You ever
it's special.
noticed?
Don't go in Abby's car.
Have you ever noticed though, like when you clean your car and nobody's in it for a while, and then one person gets in it and their floor mat is dirtier than yours after a whole month?
Yes.
And you're just
Yes.
like, what did you do?
Yes.
Like, did you scoop it up with your hands and then drop it? Like, every time
that's it.
somebody gets in my car, I'm like, how did you make that side dirtier in one go than I
love
did
that.
all month long? But
I love that. I mean, I love that insight. Actually, we did a podcast on Is Wax Dead, and one of the main things that came out of it, and it's not in this past podcast, but the why do people get into detailing? I mean, that would make a podcast in itself. But the majority of people are saying it's cathartic, and I think detailing is it's that cathartic, that before and after a clean car. It's almost like clean car, clean mind, and all that kind of stuff. It just gives you headspace, doesn't it, and all that kind of stuff. I am going to pick up on one thing. Just going in, you talked about built hammer finis. We had a lot of people talking about it recently, about how everyone, I don't know if it's like this with you, but everyone talks about double speed wax and things like Autobahn and finis. Never get a look at, really, do they? You know, everyone talks about
always saw people talk about double speed.
Yeah.
Always. You know, like forensics is where I, got most of my built hammer exposure and like detailing world too, because it was there. But they finally did like Carzell here in Canada. It brings them in themselves. They don't get it from the people in the States. But yeah, no, like when finally like Autofoam and Touchless showed up, and like I was like, oh, thank God, I can get a real like pre-wash. Those didn't really exist here. It was just APCs or degreasers. You never had like that. Like I'm okay putting it on your car.
Isn't it interesting how everything ties together? Because it was not planned, and I honestly forgot about this story that Brian just told. But this is a wax-centered podcast, and we now started with Brian telling his background with waxes, and I think we all are huge fans of paste waxes. So the paste wax ties everything together.
Yeah. I still have a bunch of them. I will never throw them away because they don't go bad either. There's like a lot of nice things.
The solventy ones do. Interestingly, the really solventy ones do.
I don't think I've got any.
Went.
Oh, did it?
Yep.
My double speed just disappeared. I left it for months because I went on to other stuff. Went back to it, and it was so hard to put on that I just threw it away. It had gone. Yeah.
I've never bought double speed. I've just stuck with the Phoenix. But I've also, like, when I did decal cars, it's like friends and family who I do it for. And I when I charge, it's not much. But when back in the day, before like I ever touched a ceramic coating or whatever, my details were waxed. I would put tin of wax was what went on the car, and
keep
no
in the
promises,
faith, Brian. Keep in the faith.
Yeah. when I got Finis wax, I was like, no, it'll actually last like 6 months. It's great. Before you'd have like, back in the day, you had like the McGuire's internal wax, and they're all like, they're giants. They could do whatever they wanted to if they put their mind to it and decided to go that route. But they weren't doing it. They were just, they're fit their niche and doing that thing there, but just do it on a massive scale. You mentioned you
educate yourself with hammer watching, Forensic John and everything. Obviously, you watched the Carbonetics video where we compared all three built hammer waxes. Obviously, you learned a lot from that as well, Brian.
You watched that video. I went and found it. Actually, I did actually go and find it, but I haven't watched it yet. I just was like, I wanted to see your opinion on Finis wax because, again, like you said, nobody talks about it.
No,
and
always talk about double speed. It's super
completely underrated.
Like,
yep.
My experience, right? It's my experience in my climate. So you got to make those adjustments, which we always have to do, and just disclaim every time you do a video. Like this lasted 3 months, and I have to say it, right?
But interesting looking at the Sheepstar channel. You've actually done a lot of brands that we've done. So it was really good to see that you've looked at Katiba, okay? Because I think you've done some Katiba products. You've done DIY, all the sort of the House of Rags stuff. Pan, Fireball, and all that kind of stuff, which in the UK wasn't getting much exposure. So that's what brought me many months ago to your channel, and I loved it was like you did your review and put our review on steroids, a bit like Andreas. Our videos are someone gets it, they read the instructions, we go and use it in accordance with the instructions, give our opinion. But I think you and Andreas bring the next level. You go into myth busting, justifying the claims and everything. And I think, I don't know, do you and Andreas talk a lot? Because you're very similar in your
A
approach.
little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Andreas
my
is
thing,
smiling.
yeah, we have talked a lot, like since probably, I don't know, May or something last year, maybe a little
About
before
a year.
that. Yeah, about a year. My thing right now, and this is going to be a great topic if we want to expand on it later, but I'm trying to not do what other people are doing because there's enough of that, right? There's enough people just being like, here's the instructions, this is it on the hood, look at that. Like, I want to ask questions and detailing in, like, you know, the thing like music, like there's instruments and then there's theory. So there's got to be theory stuff here. And because I'm not a professional detailer, and I will never claim to be, or never, you know, speak in a way where I would be stepping on that toes, because it's a different situation. Like, you're just doing it in your driveway for fun. You have a very different perspective. It's like it's like a mechanic versus a guy who just works on his own car. They're not having the same day. And but my perspective of my channel is from a consumer. So I have enough equipment and facility that I can set up the ideal and test that claim as a consumer would, right? And I want to find things that I can talk about that aren't just this product, let's run it through standardized testing, which I do with like ranked reviews. But that's not out there to give us specifically just to give a score. That's actually out there just to show it. This is what the water looks like to anybody who was curious. I wonder what the beading looks like. That's why I'm doing that. That's the more important part. The ranking thing at the end is just to spice it up. You know, that to give it a score or for me to throw my subjective on it is just to add a little more spice to get some more conversation. But I really don't care about the scores. I'm more curious about just having that reference point. Because when I was getting into this, even for the forums, you'd want to know, like, for something that's expensive especially, like, just how good is it? Like, just what does it look like, right? What does it do to the paint? What do the beads look like? You know, because beading's always been a hot topic for any protection product. Yeah. And there's just wasn't a ton of great out there, or you'd find a video, it's like, oh, somebody did it, and it's filmed like garbage, or they skip over the instructions and it doesn't look good at all, and you're just like, man, could you just read and do it properly for me so I can find out whether I want to buy it? And just nobody out there was doing it well, and I was like, I guess it's gonna have to be me. I'll do it.
Do you think that when you're watching videos and that frustration, is that maybe one of the embryonic reasons why you started your channel then? You were watching people doing stuff and you wanted more. You wanted that next level of investigation.
It still motivates me that way. I still watch people that frustrate me, and then I go, okay, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Yeah,
absolutely.
Every day.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. I see. We look at various YouTube channels, and you can sense that some are just doing it because there's, and we'll talk about this, relationships with brands, free products, affiliate links and all that kind of stuff. We will come to that because I think that's important. But I do get the impression from yours,
that too.
Yeah, but your channel, the feel I get is definitely aimed at the consumer. It's almost you are there to help the consumer. Nothing else, not brand exposure to earn money and all that kind of stuff to inflate your channel. It is purely you with your little black notepad where you take all your notes. You give us a brief at the start, sitting down there with you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you write down. I tried to zoom in on one of your notepads to see what you were writing, but it wouldn't let me. And then you do all the visual stuff, and then you summarize at the end. So it's quite a set format that you do, isn't it? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the claims. Prove it.
Yeah. For ranked is absolutely set, and then the only other thing I do at ranked to differentiate the fact that it's the same video every time is the intro, and that is the biggest challenge of that whole series is thinking up an intro. Because they're supposed to be like funny off the cuff. I'll play on any topic related to the product. I'll hit the controversial thing. I don't care. The intro's there to just for that 30-second hook, because on YouTube they always tell you how well you did in your first 30 seconds, and the intro is there to help that. And if I can think up something funny, then it just gets the video off on a better start.
Absolutely.
But I don't care too much. Yeah. If I can think of something funny, then I'm absolutely going to do it. But, sometimes it's tough.
Brian,
Andreas?
you touched on a very, very interesting topic, which I honestly didn't plan to talk about, but I think it's worth it. Because the overall theme of this episode is it's a follow-up to the first one where we talk about the struggles of reviewing and telling the truth. And points systems is one I think many reviewers struggle with, because it's almost wanted or expected by some viewers, but I think we all know and can agree on that it's very tough to do. And it's also, sometimes it's almost contradicting. I can remember a big group comparison test by John Forensic when he did it, and then there
Which
was
one?
a result. And
So many times people argue with
honestly
it.
can't remember, but he did it, and then he did a second video in which he had to explain that the products that won are not his favorite products, and that those are different ones, which shows absolutely perfectly the difficulties of those points systems, because it's not necessarily the products that win that you prefer, and it's you as a tester and you as the person that does the points or gives the points can absolutely influence which product wins. It's almost to a point where it's pseudo-scientific.
Well,
it would be very interesting to get your points of view on that one.
I've had a lot of people comment very respectfully, I will say, very respectfully and constructively, their disagreements with some of the points in ranked. And somebody who's a huge fan from the channel, like, he comments a lot, he's very supportive all the time. He very much didn't agree with some of the ways I was weighing stuff. And a lot of it has to do with the pricing category, because that is very, very specific to me, right? Like, Canada isn't cheap. And like, for example, you said, how much is DS double speed wax? How much is that there?
It's about £30 in the UK.
So it's $30 Canadian.
Really?
Which is, I think, half that in pounds.
That's interesting.
So it's very cheap for me to get that
You'll have to send me
product.
some pots over.
Yeah, right. But Finis wax is like $60-$70 here, but still Canadian. But like pricing is one of the things, and one of the ways I sort of help get around this in a sense is that I have that spreadsheet that I put in the description, and I'm like, if you don't like it, change it. Take the numbers out yourself and change it. If you don't want the pricing column to skew the score, take the whole column out, right? Like, you can just subtract the score and the rank.
On that one, Brian, sorry to interrupt. The case in point on that one, I watched your Fireball tank review. And really, really great review, actually. We reviewed it some months ago, and it was really nice to see someone else testing Fireball tank. But in terms of your application, interesting on that one, Brian, you got a really good filling effect from Fireball tank, didn't you? You had it on black paint. We didn't do that, and I look back on our video thinking we missed something there, because we're going to go back and revisit Fireball tank. But one of the main things of that was you had 9 out of 10 for a lot of your scores, but I think the price, were you saying for a 500 mil it was about $90, and that got a 1 out of 10? And like you said, that skewed the overall result, but the product itself, parking price, was a great product. So Andreas is right. There is a limitation of ranking in terms of the final score, but it's a very, very useful metric where you're applying, albeit subjective, an evaluation on each product category: application, filling, hydrophobics, all that kind of stuff.
And I kind of, one of the things that he was arguing with me, not very respectfully, I want to stress this, is that I do slightly weigh each category based on the price as well. But it would only be on an extreme, and the most it would do is a point. So if it's $150 for a 100 mil spray sealant, but it has, like, really, really, really good beads, it's like, it might be a 9 out of 10. If it's not the absolute best of the best, like, it needs to be a perfect circle sitting on the paint for that price. I'm sorry. It just has to, like, that price just has to have some kind of a knockdown effect, because it is ridiculous. And that's, maybe that's my upbringing and all that kind of stuff. But I do not want to be like the guy, like, no, you have to buy this thing just because it's that good in this one little category, but it's exponentially more expensive.
Yeah. But that's...
Like, there's a what's that dang saying? I can't think of it.
That's value, isn't it? Value is performance against price.
Yeah.
Is
and like people that say, like, when one person said, like, good beads are good beads, and I'm like, yep. And then there's good beads per dollar.
Yeah.
There's two ways of looking at it.
That's exactly what I was referring to. Depending on how you weigh all those different characteristic categories that you decide to test on, you can absolutely change the results. And maybe price is important for you, but it is completely irrelevant for another one. That's what makes it so hard, and that's one of the struggles. Interestingly enough, about 5 minutes before we started the podcast, you and I, Brian, talked about something that we saw, and maybe that is the perfect transition to go into the spicy stuff. Now, how do
Andreas.
you, Brian, feel, and the other ones, how do you feel if you see a planned video with a review or test of a product that has not yet been introduced? So obviously that
this
tester,
is very topical.
it's
No
today.
one tell
It's
them
happening
the day we're recording
today.
it.
It's happening today. Yeah. So how do you feel about that? Because obviously that tester got the products before they were launched. Does this raise any questions or concerns with you in regards to the credibility of that tester? It has happened before. It has happened especially with Turtlewax product launches, where some of the reviewers got them earlier. Then there were snippets of those test and review videos used in the Turtlewax presentation. Is that problematic? Yes or no?
So there's a couple factors here. You have to have like that whole innocent until proven guilty, in the back of your head. You can't go after anybody until they do something. But if it's launching, let's say the same day the product launches and that video's dropping on the same day, but there's supposed to be an independent tester, was previewed, right?
Yeah.
If I owned a brand and I wanted to have an independent tester, validate my products, maybe this person was part of the development team. Maybe they had inside access to know that they were going to do well. And then that's why that could launch on that same day. I'm assuming that's probably what happened here. In the testing, if they're doing the exact same testing they always do, then you'll see in the video with the evidence, right, of they've done the test. You'll see the test, and then they'll confirm the results with you. So it's a toughie. It's a toughie. I don't want to say it's going to be a fluff piece and it's bought and paid for. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not going there to, probably learn the nitty gritty. I'm going to take it as an extended advertisement or somebody's
the right
linked
way
up.
And they say that they are a paid advertisement for this. They are affiliated with that brand and they are representing that brand. Then
If they are, they may not be.
If they don't say that.
They may just could have. They could have just had early access and did their video and get the opportunity to have it launch when the product launches and maximize that view, because that's how they do it everywhere else. Like tech YouTube is a big genre that I watch, and all the big reviewers get free graphics cards and time to test and time to validate for the launch of the graphics card, so all their videos can come out the same day. This is common practice on YouTube.
Yeah, you're right.
Absolutely.
It's just trickling into detailing. Detailing is very, very far behind in the way YouTube works. Our genre is actually pretty crap in a lot of ways. There's a lot of crappy parts about the detailing genre.
Let's expand on that. Why do you think that?
Because you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
You're not getting away with that kind of statement, Brian.
You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So I don't want to do any of like those things. I don't need YouTube detailing money to pay my mortgage and stuff. So I'm doing this the way I want, and the results will be what they be. But if somebody wanted to go and do all that kind of stuff and wanted to, work with brands and do that kind of stuff, they'll get tarred and feathered for it. And even if they do it properly, like there is a proper way to integrate with a brand without, being the shill, the kind of crap that we see in our genre. And it's all based, and I've said this before, it's all based on you still have to side with the viewer. Push comes to shove, you still have to side with the viewer. You can do a sponsored piece for a brand and you can work with them and do something cool, which we don't do. We don't do anything cool when we work with brands. We just do a review that's really just a fluff piece. But you could do something like that, and as long as that brand isn't, doing anything dumb, then everything's fine. But as soon as that brand does something dumb, you got to be the first person to say something. You got to call it out. because you work with them and you got your audience to support them. And now your audience potentially could feel violated. They could feel ripped off. They could be lied to, whatever it could be, depending on what they do. And if it's product related or just ethics related. But that's how it has to be. You have to be the person pushing back against the brand to support your audience. You side with them. We don't do that. We side with brands, or we just only work with brands and become an extension of the brand or whatever it would be. But there's a whole lot of that. And so the guy who wants to go out there and make a living doing detailing on YouTube either has to sell detailing products and, ham it up for the camera, or they have to, they don't, essentially, because the other alternative just doesn't exist.
That's okay. I'm going to come to Andreas in a second. Oh, sorry, Andreas.
Okay.
That's a good point you were
Andy,
saying
go
there.
ahead.
Thanks. Is we discussed this on a previous podcast. We know this is where I like where Sheepstar goes. It's definitely consumer focused. I never get that brand push feel. So take my hat off to you on that one.
No.
But we know a lot of YouTubers, people do Instagram and TikTok. Me and Leon have talked about it, who are getting paid a ridiculous amount of money to do a video, and I'm talking thousands and thousands. We'll come on to that. Does that influence honesty?
I think it's obvious in their videos, though.
Well, it is, and you can see
obvious in their videos.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
they're polished, they're prim, they're not raw.
There's no confrontation.
You can see it a mile away. No. It's all scripted as well. That's the big thing as well. They sound robotic a lot of the time.
I'll talk about scripting in a minute, actually, something we don't do. But I'm going to just quickly come to Andreas. When we're going back to that point system, is there a reason? I mean, Andreas, your videos are very tech-focused. They're very evidence, similar to Brian's. But is there a reason why you, Andreas, don't use a point scoring? Just quickly, I know we're going back, but is there any reason? I don't recall you using a point system. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, it is, and it was an intentional decision. We did it on our channel, the German channel, Detailing School. We did it, and we intentionally went away from it for exactly the reasons I said. There's the technical explanation, because I can make any product I want win in such a comparison based on how I give the points and how I weight the systems. And then there's also the viewer and YouTube side. It is not rewarded to do those big comparison tests anymore. You're far better off creating, if you compare 20 different products, you're far better off creating 20 single videos with the name of the product in the title, and it will get so much more views than that one big comparison that took you years or months to make and create. And both of those sides led us to go away from the point system. What we do sometimes is, if we have tested enough products within a certain category, we do a point system, we do a table, but we put it in it's called the Detailing School database. It's an online available Google Doc sheet where we put in the table, we give the points, we tell the viewers, hey, there's the table, go watch it, but we don't put any emphasizes on it.
What are your opinions on that, Brian? Okay, Andreas making the suggestion that big multi-brand, multi-product reviews are okay, but there's more value, I suppose more educational value in actually bespoke videos looking at one product. Where do you sit with that? And you mentioned Forensic John does a lot of these mega brand tests and everything, which look great. Yeah. Where do you feel on what Andreas said on that?
It's funny because you can do both, but you have to do a certain way. So a big multi-product test is always fun because of the spectacle of it. It's annoying to set up and to especially if it's a real world test like the stuff I do. It's extremely annoying to wash and do all that kind of crap, but it's a good spectacle. But you need to have the build up. So the nice thing about ranked review is it sort of gives me my competitors for my next test. Which ones are doing good or which ones have the specific characteristics.
Brian. You're very wise. Yeah. I'm writing so many notes down already.
That's what I do, and like I know from my data, and everyone most of the people who will comment will be like, "Oh, I'd love to see this in the next comparison real world," or because I'm not giving real world advice in ranked because we're not testing that, and I make very clear comments about this, and this is something Andreas and I were talking about, and I think I'm finding a way to bridge it in right now, Andreas. Is that the testing I do in ranked is designed to be repeatable, not to be relevant. There's a little bit of relevance, but it is not relevant. And that's the big issue and a big hurdle and a big frustration for me and as a viewer and as a tester, because I can watch somebody run a test all day long, but it has to correlate somehow to the real world. Otherwise, it's useless, right? Like, there's a core. Like, it could be a standardized test, like an alcometer, for example, is a standardized machine that they use to test durability of things. Mm-hmm. But how many washes on an alcometer? Say, product does 1,000 washes on an alcometer. How many months in the real world washed once a week is that? Yeah. What's that correlation? How many to 1 to however many it is? But that's the issue, is that you can have all these tests and they're not wrong. They are true tests. The data is accurate. The data is true. It's just that data doesn't work for a consumer because they don't buy a wax to put it on a test panel and run an alcometer on it. I'm going to go.
I'm going to come to Leon on it in a minute, but you just triggered something there. You've talked about we Andreas, Brian, and to a certain element the Carbotique go into technical, but Andreas keeps me on a leash on that one, and Andreas has told us what our market is, and he if I go too technical, he says back off, and I think everyone needs an Andreas in their life. That's all I'm going to say. No, it's true. The amount of times, Andreas, the amount of advice you've given us is unbelievable. So well done. We've got a new friend now, Brian. So Brian, we're going to pester you for advice all the time. But do you think you said about the user of a wax doesn't need to do all the technical stuff? Do you think we need to go into as much detail as you and Andreas do? Does the end user, which you've already said you focus on, do they just want to see Andy, Leon, and Carl getting the description, reading the instructions, doing it, showing it, finished? Or do you think we need the level of scrutiny that you and Andreas goes into?
I'll answer your question with a question.
Yes.
Do we need sedans, hatchbacks, minivans, and trucks? Yes, because there's a market for it. If there's a market for it, you need it. And that if people want to watch that kind of content, someone's going to make that content. Either they're going to find that person, or someone's going to be like, why is this content not here? I'll do it. I think you need both. I think they need to stay in their own lanes and be viewed in that sort of way. Like there's people out there who make fantastic content. Like what's that guy from Belgium?
Thank you.
From Belgium. Such an opportunist.
Sorry, I couldn't let that one go.
It's Vermeil. You mean Vermeil?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his channel's name, but his filming and editing is flawless. It's so nice to watch. I love watching his channel. Yep. I know it's an ad for his store. I know he's using some, I'm not going to say the name, he's using some sort of pre-wash at 1:1, which is the worst dilution ratio for a pre-wash type product. Like, it's the most expensive product I've ever seen. That's worse than a ceramic. Ones. Yeah, and that's like, that ceramic coatings are better value for money than that. But he's doing such a nice job. And like, there's an ASMR sort of genre to cleaning in general, not just detailing, but it's a whole thing. Like, I talk to people, like, I had no idea. Somebody who I knew, this girl, she was really into pool cleaning videos. She loved watching pools get cleaned. And it's like, it's a scratch, it's an itch, it's a tick, it's something that people have now. I think since COVID, everything went crazy. The people who clean rugs professionally,
I was going to say that. I was going to see the
love that genre.
Yes.
Yeah. They're awesome. And I know a lot of them are fake, where they throw all the dirt. I don't care. I want to watch that thing get clean.
That's
man.
it.
That scratches an itch.
Beautiful, two things to add to what Brian just said. If we go strictly by the numbers, we are all wrong, because Brian just told us what people actually want to view. The videos that get the most views are disaster details and
transformation
and
ones.
Using detailing products without any test whatsoever, just seeing what is done. Those videos get the most numbers. If we take a step back and look at how reviews are done, we all should do what Pan is doing, because he gets the views by only showcasing the products and talking positively about them. That's what we should do if we go just and strictly by the numbers. So there's a relatively clear answer there. And the second thing to add is Brian and I are technical, but we are by far not the most technical guys. There's Dimitri's Garage, who does extremely technical testing. John Forensic does it too. Carcraft Auto Detailing, which I think is
a great channel too.
is almost my favorite, I would say.
Yeah.
They are more technical
me?
than we are.
Excuse me, Andreas?
Yeah, go ahead.
Who's your
Waxes
favorite
are
channel?
technical. They're about the feeling, okay?
Love that.
And Brian and I were talking about that too. I think no one of us has yet cracked what Jeremy Clarkson at Top Gear was fantastic at. Giving the technical stuff, but also making it
Entertaining.
Relatable, funny, and watchable.
Yes.
No one of not a single reviewer has yet cracked that code, I think.
No.
In the
Brian
detail
said
space.
I think Brian said it eloquently. I mean, it was a rhetorical question. It was I sometimes ask questions that I just want to see how people answer. And Brian answered it very eloquently. Different people do it different ways to satisfy different markets. There's a market for, and I'm not going to go into this, but I've got an issue. Interesting to hear your point. An issue with Instagram and TikTok. You're getting 30 seconds showing something. It's getting millions of views, and they're social influencer stars. Hate that term. Okay, but if you were going to buy a car or anything expensive, would you go to Instagram and watch a 30-second video? No, you go to YouTube, long format.
Some do.
To get educated. That's where I think.
Yeah.
I ask myself, why is someone releasing 10 Instagram shorts 30 seconds? What's behind that? It's not education. It's not informing people.
Selling.
It's
Entertainment.
correct. Just quickly going to Leon. What's your and then we're going to move on to the really juicy stuff. What's your opinion, Leon, on the ranking thing that we've talked about, giving a score out of 10?
I'll answer
you
that
do
in a
reviews
second.
of
I
those?
just want to. Yeah, I do. That 30-second thing, you've got to think about the generations now as well. And we see this in our jobs. Okay, the attention span is different. So those 30-second videos have their market, and it's about generations, I think, for that one. The ranked ones, I have to be honest with you, I found useful when I first started out. That's where I started, and it was John, and it was the rankings. But what I liked about his rankings were the categories never changed. So that rank format was exactly the same. It didn't matter what product it was. He used the same formula to calculate the points at the end. And the points at the end weren't the important part for me. I didn't care who won. It was about behaviours all the way through. But I wanted to know about the technical stuff. So there's a genre there for the technical stuff. But you're not going to hit that market with everybody. Some people just want to see the beads, want to know how good it is, go out and buy it. You can't narrow this down to one. You've got to diversify, I suppose, is the word, isn't it?
Yeah. I would call it, if you really, I just thought of this, if you wanted to give it like a very specific, like an A, B, yin yang, it's like switch on or switch off content. Use content where you want to switch on and get stimulated and learn and investigate, or content where you just want to switch off and coast. And I think a lot of the bigger channels in detailing are the switch off content. They just want to go and be entertained. They don't like, some people really like watching commercials. Clearly, a lot of people like watching commercials because a lot of the content out there is commercial-y, right? Commercial laced. Some people do a great job of it, right? And then some people don't. But, like some people just, they don't want to think. They just want to go out there and be a no mind and just watch something or put it on the background even. Who knows, right? But,
almost escapism.
You can watch whatever. Yeah, you can watch whatever you want for whatever reason you want.
So
Brian,
I'm going to...
did you-
Sorry, Andreas, go on.
Brian, did you watch the first episode we did on the truth thing?
Yes.
The podcast? Okay. So
Well, all of Reggie's technical issues at the end and everything, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So one of the things that we touched on, and it's a good transition here, was that I said it should be very clear for the viewer if it is a test review or if it is a product presentation. Is that what you just meant when you said some do it good, some do it bad?
No,
Is it
I
going
meant
the same direction.
I was literally talking about I guess half
Okay.
because like if not many people are being paid in the YouTube world for detailing.
True.
If you see a smaller channel, they're absolutely not getting any money. But they'll be getting a free product or whatever or something like that. Or in the affiliate link, affiliate link still takes a ton of work to make it turn into money. So, and if you use like honey or something, then you're not getting anything anyways. But I don't think so much that. I just think it's like there's good commercials and there's bad commercials. There's commercials that are timeless and hilarious or moving or whatever you want to call it. And then there's some that are just terrible. And we have a lot of that, both good and bad.
Do you have maybe a good example and maybe a bad example?
The Vermilji guy, he's a great example of a great commercial. He's advertising the products, he's advertising his business, but he's doing it in such a pleasing aesthetic vibe. He's still showing them working, which I think is how, I don't want to give away my secrets or what I would do in the future, but if I wanted to advertise a product, would I advertise it by talking about it and giving it a score above all the other products, or would I show it doing work? Show it doing work.
Yes.
That's what people, and that goes with the ASMR transformation. That's where everyone's more popular. Like, that's the road you take. I actually have a video coming. Carzilla sent me a loadout to basically, it was like, wash a car with these. We don't care what you do besides that. You just, if you want to do it, wash a car and we'll send it to you. And so it's coming. It's still a smidge cold for me to be soaking places, but I'm going to do it in my way. So for other people, they'll have their way of doing that kind of thing. Like, here's a brand, a line, and do it. And I have a very different idea of how this should be done in a way that's very, very clear what's going on. They haven't arrived yet, though, so I haven't even started working.
We'll be watching that. We'll be watching that one. Just a quick one, Brian. We talked about this on the previous podcast, and then I want to go on to the big question. And it's basically about what happens when you criticize a brand. Very topical for you, Brian, and very topical for Andreas as well. And we've got a story as well. But what is your view on, just quickly, people who get paid for a review? Does it still have credibility? I won't mention a brand, but a YouTube channel. A YouTube channel had a certain degree of credibility, and that information came out that it was getting $10,000 and $20,000, and then the reviews carried on. But everyone in the absolutely, everyone in the industry, or not everyone, mass generalization, whole attitude towards that YouTube had changed. Nothing had changed. The reviews were the same, but just with that bit of information, he's getting paid. The whole perception, the whole validity, the whole credibility, people start to question. What's Brian's view on that? Without mentioning a brand.
Sorry, you said you said getting paid for reviews, correct? They're not reviews now.
Mm-hmm. Which goes back.
You can't get paid for a review.
Yeah, you can't get paid for a review.
It's a show. Yeah, I know they are. I've seen them. I went back and double checked even, but yeah, no, they're not reviews. They're showcases, and that's fine. Get paid for showcases. That's work.
Yeah.
You're doing work for somebody. You're making somebody's commercial. Absolutely get paid for it, but just be honest. Put the paid promotion thing up.
Yeah, that's
what Take the word review out of your titles. Yeah. No, I've had that opinion for a long time, but yeah, that's a simple answer.
Andy, I'm going to put you on the spot there. Did it really change people's perception? Did it really? Or did it just confirm what people already thought who hated him, and the general viewer didn't even get the information? Did it really change perception?
Two things. Two things. Firstly, I'm the host. You don't ask the host questions. Only joking. And
how can I?
I will answer that. I told them, so just for information, going into the future, we got a couple of podcasts planned. Leon is going to be directing one because I just want to be a guest, okay? And Andreas is going to be hosting some as well.
You absolutely will be.
I want to be a guest, all right? But because I'm Leon's boss at work, I'm going to ask Leon that question. I will come back to answer it. What's your answer to that one, Leon?
That's a misuse of power right there.
I'm going to answer
he does it all
as well.
The time. I'm used to it. I think the person we're talking about, I thought it was obvious before it all came out anyway.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really that much of a shock, to be honest, because his videos kind of alluded to that. But they were still good videos for people that were learning and having that exposure to lots and lots and lots of different brands. So, yeah, it wasn't a shock. But your haters will always going to latch onto something like that. That's juicy, isn't it? And there you go. Your keyboard warriors are out.
Yeah. I agree. The channel we're talking about. Part of what we do is we're constantly researching. I spent about 10 hours researching in Sheepstar. Come on to that. But that channel I think people enjoy the format. Okay, it's very polished. I think it's been good for the industry generally. I think that people were skeptical beforehand, and I think this just slapped a label on it. Okay, people were wondering, and there was lots of issues going on about how said channel was getting X results, and then 90% of other people who were going out there buying it weren't getting the same results. And I think the credibility was lost because there was active denial. That channel should have engaged. It was no, which leads me on to nicely, as Andreas would said, criticism. What happens when we as reviewers criticize a brand? Now, I know Andreas has had a lot of backlash, and I think you deal with it very well. Brian, I've seen some comments on your channel as well. How do you deal with criticism? Because it can be quite bitchy, can't it? It'd be quite aggressive. We've had it on our channel. So I'll come to Andreas. You're what they call Marmite. People love you. People, I wouldn't say hate you. That's a strong word, but people are very opinionated when it comes to Andreas Schwarzinger, and you're aware of that as well. You're very self-aware. You know some people like you, some people don't. What's your whole opinion on this criticism? Is the backlash to stop you criticizing? Do you think people like yourself and Brian, we need to criticize, we need to challenge? We're YouTubers, horrible word, but you've got to have a thick skin, don't you? So let's talk about when you criticize a brand, how that affects you. Does it change the way you go forward? What's your opinion on that, Andreas?
I mean, I told all the stories in the first episode, and listeners and viewers should absolutely go back and watch the first one. That's free advertising I just did for you, Andy.
Thank you very much. You're a gentleman, sir.
To be perfectly honest, some of the criticism and some of the backlash made me a better reviewer in to some degree, because I do things and I say things more intentionally. And it also made, I think, the whole situation for the viewer and the listener better, because if I nowadays publish a video in which I say very clearly that a product is bad or even the worst I ever tried, this is a very, very, very intentional statement, which I absolutely decided that I want to put it out there, and I'm 100% sure of it. So
I've heard, Andreas, some people,
to some degree, it just made things better.
I've heard some people, and let's get open and honest. I've heard some people critique you for deliberately going after confrontation, which I know is not the case, but I've seen people actually say Andreas is deliberately different. He's doing this on purpose. What do you say to that criticism, which I don't agree with, but I've seen that.
It's perception. If those people think that I'm doing it on purpose, I will never change their mind. So
it's almost a compliment.
Doesn't really matter what I tell them.
Absolutely, I love it. Brian, where do you stand with this? Because you've had a bit of what's the best word of putting it? Jizz, comments, etc. Yep. Does that put you off? Does that validify why you do have these open discussions, why you challenge the claims? Because that's the premise behind you, isn't it? Testing claims. And if the claims don't add up, give that information.
So when it comes to criticism, I think it's pretty important to delineate the types. So I love criticism that's useful. I've had people say like, hey, I don't like the music you're putting in there. If I like the music, I don't care. I'm going to keep using that music. You could turn the volume off, but I still like to know the frequency and whether or not I am consistently getting a complaint saying like, I don't like this music, I don't like this. If every music video and they say they really don't like the music, I'm like, okay, I'll do a poll. What kind of music do you want? Right? Like, because that's not important to me. It's just a vibe. But if people give me feedback on like the ranked and stuff, it's still criticism, but it's constructive criticism, which is the type of criticism that I deal with when I'm doing a video of a product. I'm not looking at, non-constructive criticism. If I hear, methods and applications that, if I'm testing something along those lines, like more of a theory-based video, I think the punishment should fit the crime as well. So if somebody says a really, really dumb thing real hard, they should get a kind of a pretty hard correction. But, I think of it like, Andreas when he's talking about the pH scale, which we won't untap here. But, if somebody says pH 8.5 is neutral, he should be, 10 times upset. You should measure your upset with the pH scale. So if it's like they say like pH 10 is pH neutral, you should be like 100 times upset, or 1,000 times upset. Like you should measure it, right? Your responses. If somebody gives me like really unconstructive criticism where it's just like a personal attack, I don't care. I really don't care, because they've just told me that they had nothing valuable to argue against me. If they can't pick apart anything that with any kind of substance or proof, then I know that they're just hurt or sad or whatever it is, and I don't care. The other part of criticism for me is a test for the brand to see how they respond, because it is what it is. The product is going to do what the product's going to do. If it's going to be good, if it's going to be bad, if it's going to, what traits it's good at, what traits it's bad at, that's what I'm showing. And a lot of my videos are designed so that I show as much as I can to support my opinion. I don't want to just talk about how great a product is and never show it. Like a polisher review where you never show anyone you using the polisher or showing the polisher and results. Like that's a useless video. I try to show as much as I can within the limitations of it's a physical process going through a camera. But I will a great example would be Armor Detail Supply. When I had their beads product, it just straight up didn't work for me at all. And it was winter time, and so I took a beat. But first I reached out to Carzilla, because that's where I bought it from, and I was like, hey, like, I know it's winter time, maybe something happened in the shipment, because they genuinely do freeze in the shipment. And I was like, I don't know like what happened here, but it's this really is not performing like what I've seen. And they shipped me out another one the next day, and stood behind as a customer, they stood behind me perfectly. And the second one didn't work, and so I reached out to Armor Diesel Supply, and I told them, listen, like, I'm testing this product, I've got 2 samples now, they're both not working. I uploaded some video clips privately to YouTube and showed them and said, like, this is what I'm talking about. And through that whole process, we were going back and forth, but in my very first message I said, regardless of the outcome, this is going on YouTube. This part of my experience is going onto YouTube.
And what reaction did you get when you said that to them?
Didn't care. It's like, cool, good.
Yeah.
I was joking with Bradley from ADS the other day, or this was a while back, but I said, wouldn't it, like, when I was leading up to my coding test with the 8 coatings, I said, what happens if your your coding fails in the first week? He's like, I won't lose an ounce of sleep. He doesn't care. He throws it out there. It obviously didn't, but they don't care. They don't put a muzzle on anybody. They're a great brand as far as standing behind their products and helping out their customers when things don't go right. And that was the biggest part of that video for me, was not to talk about my negative experience with the product per se, but to talk about my positive experience with the brand. That's the thing that they passed the test. It wasn't a test I was planning on making or having, to do, but that's the test that came out of it, and they passed it. So, criticism is useful, and criticism like that can lead to things like me getting tapped on the shoulder to try out later versions of products to see if they fix these things. And I can't talk about some of those, but it's happened where I've had negative experiences with some products, and I've gotten early samples to confirm if they're good, and then the new products go out, and I don't put my name behind it. I don't...
That's good.
Andreas, you had a similar situation, didn't you? You found an issue with a product.
Yeah.
You went back, and I think you discussed it. That's the one, yeah.
With Autobright, that's as when they still existed, I had a similar thing.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to know from Brian is, because I think we touched on that in the first episode on that topic. Do you think this is do you think you as a tester have an obligation to contact a brand if a product does not work before you release a video, or do you think once a brand releases a product, we can all expect it is the product as it is, the company did the best that it can do, and we can just release the video without contacting them? What's the standard operating procedure there?
Well, so this is where people get a little mixed up, because a journalist by trade is supposed to reach out for comment. So people like to confuse those lines as YouTubers, which if you Google it, that we are not journalists. We do not have that obligation. So you don't have to reach out to a brand and comment. You can make whatever video you want, and your results, you could do whatever you want. You could doctor a test. You could cook You know, you could do whatever you wanted to do. Eventually, the idea is that the audience will rip you to shreds if you do that, right? That's the goal, is that the audience keeps you honest. But my perspective is it's a much better story if I can get that journey from something's not working to the investigation to the happy or sad ending, whatever it will be. It's a much better story. It's a much better video if I can conclude more of that. I liked watching Rocky get beat up, train, and then beat the guy at the end. I didn't just want to watch the beat up or the beat down. So it's part of like the storytelling to this too, right? Like at the investigation, the usefulness, and also by sharing more of my experience and more of my struggle or more of what I've done, the better the chance I might get a comment that says, oh, I ran into this too. Or I ran into this too and I have the solution. And then I can make the video about the solution too. Okay. So the more you give out, the more potentially you can get back as well.
But did you run into cases where you contacted a brand with a negative experience and it led to a sort of fight, or the situation in which you couldn't publish the video because of a brand legally threatening you? Did you have
Nobody can tell me not to publish a video. There's no legal grounds. There's no legal grounds for anyone.
That's interesting, Brian.
That's the reason why I wanted to have Brian on the podcast, because for me he is the most uncompromising YouTuber in our space. If he will say what he thinks, no matter what, and he will publish the videos that need to be published.
Like
I
don't understand the scenario where they would have the control, right? Legally, they have no say of what I do with my content.
Even if they don't, it can be a struggle. Can be a struggle time-wise, financially.
Has a lot of laws about frivolous lawsuits and silencing type stuff. Like I call them slaps or whatever they're called, slap suits. I did enough looking into it that like there's really nothing anyone can do. You just got to be careful about the way you word certain things.
On that one, Brian, I did I did a review 2 years ago, and it was a brand that I won't mention, but their packaging is a black pot with a red border and white writing. A brand that me and Andreas,
I wonder.
Yeah, a brand that me and Andreas significantly disagree on.
Where do you live again, Andreas? Where do you live?
A nice country in Central Europe.
Too obvious, Brian. But I released a video that was quite complimentary, and I got emails from said brand saying remove the video. So it's interesting what you... Yeah, I didn't tell you that, Andreas. Yeah, so I had a conversation with him, and it was basically... It was really bizarre. It was some YouTube algorithm or something. Something was picking up that I had their brand label on a YouTube thumbnail, and all hell went crazy. But so if you now notice, on the thumbnail of that video, I've blurred out the writing, and everything's happy. So I don't know what happened between YouTube picking up some kind of monitoring software, the brand contacting me, but that's all they wanted. So the video's still there, but they didn't want the thumbnail with their brand on it.
Really?
Yeah, really, really weird. Still to this day.
That's some next level copyright law, probably.
Yeah,
because I published videos on the same brand, which were, let's say, not as positive. But they never contacted us, and we have those pictures in the thumbnail.
Absolutely, and I did another video with the same brand, and nothing happened. So there's some weird stuff going on there, which is very, very bizarre.
Then again, the company was sold quite a time ago. So maybe change in ownership.
Yeah. It's interesting what we're saying about, I've said on a few podcasts, some people, there's a trend, me and Leon have talked about it, a trend of YouTubers being deliberately different. Okay, so they think their niche is to be deliberately different. There is a brand which focuses on the more do-it-yourself thing, without going into too much detail, that seem to be, every video is about challenging stuff. It's about going back to using sponges. They talk about pre-wash. Using fallout remover as a clay lube. I've got major issues with that, but that's a totally different channel.
I've done it before. It's not the worst thing in the world. But.
No, it's
true. I'm
There
not going
are
down
worse
there.
things.
I'm not going down there because I feel really passionate. I've done a test on it, but that's to come. But there is a market for being deliberately different. And incidentally, the last video we've just released, we were quite critical, and that video has got the most comments of our last 20 videos. All right, so there is a market in being slightly confrontational. It generates discussion, and if you're after the views as subscribers, crack on. We don't care about that. But it was interesting looking at my metrics, how a video whereby we seriously challenged a longevity claim, I'm getting 30, 40 comments a day. Okay, it's just a bit weird. So it's interesting the psychology of social media, how it works, and how brands and YouTubers are latching into what's going to get me the most reviews. Okay, most views. I can't just be complimentary. I'm going to say something confrontational just to get views. So what drives that as well?
Was that the accusation you heard in regards to me? That I do it to gain views?
No. So I can remember seeing a comment where there was a heated debate, and there was a throwaway. Okay. There was a throwaway comment that some people are deliberately do it on purpose. Some people, not a keyboard warrior, some people feed off conflict and confrontation.
Okay.
But if you read yours, no, that was just their reation to you. You'd already done it and all that kind of stuff. So
I mean, in regards to that, because I just thought about the question again. I think what people don't understand is what drives me, and if they would know how I am in other fields and how my professional journey was. What drives me is seeing something that is not ideal and then doing everything I can to make it ideal, or to get close to an ideal situation. That's what drives me. I'm definitely not looking for conflict, and I can tell you, if I ever have the feeling that I think that the detailing industry has gotten to a point where it's better, or if I find someone who does it better than me, then I will immediately stop. And I have high hopes in Brian that he is the
You're not retiring anytime soon, pal.
I am just thinking about the what's the title of the movie? The second Batman, The Dark Knight, where they sit in a table where they talk with the names.
Joker?
Or the crime bosses.
The general attorney, and he says, maybe that's the White Knight. I have high hopes in you, Brian, that you are the White Knight.
I don't have the time to be that guy, buddy.
Andreas, you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere soon. Okay?
Maybe.
No, it's just interesting to see how I'm seeing a lot of it now. People being deliberately confrontational. And their channels are blowing up. So there's clearly a market. And let's face it, Leon commented on one of the podcasts he did. Some people, there's a lot of keyboard warriors out there, and some social media people are just fueling that. They're fueling it. They're pouring petrol onto the fire, so to speak.
Some of them are troops too, in a sense. They're out there and they're doing their duty for their preferred brand or their preferred what have you. So and there's a lot of the weird thing with YouTube. Just one thing we should put in here because of this topic. Once YouTube got rid of the dislike counter, you don't exactly know how popular good / popular bad they are. You have to add it in a plug-in now to see it. But just because a video has a ton of views doesn't mean it's a good thing. I know of a video from 2024 that was removed that had a lot of views that wasn't a good thing.
Well, that's quite topical actually, because, and I think Andreas wanted me to sort of go over it. We had a bit of an issue on our channel, and you're talking about views don't mean anything. If you go and look at our top reviews, we were getting for a period 350,000, 250,000, 150,000.
I saw that.
But then me and Leon looked at it, and Carl looked at it, and thinking our likes have shot down, our engagement shot down, and basically what we were doing is we were using TubeBuddy for all our metrics. We were getting TubeBuddy to do everything. All right, it was giving us our thumbnails, our titles. It was saying what hashtags, what keywords, what to put in the first paragraph of our description. And we soon noticed, and we had to make quite a bold decision, that it was just getting sent out to everyone. It wasn't detailers.
Yeah.
All right. So we went
It
offline
wasn't the
for
market we wanted, was
No. So we went offline for 2 months, and I'll be honest with you, I'm open and honest. ChatGPT is great for strategy. It really, really is, because it taps into everything. So basically, TubeBuddy lost our audience, and if you notice, we basically reset everything. I've unsubscribed from TubeBuddy. Yes, our views have, our last video got 21,000, which compared to 230. But I feel better about that because I know that our videos are going to the right audience. I don't do this for views and subscribers. Yeah. I want people who are interested in our content to watch it and have that conversation. But it was a big move. It was a big move because everyone's chasing the views, and everyone thinks if they got 300,000 views and they contact a brand, they're going to go, oh, captive market will send products. Not about that. And I feel more, I'm not chasing anything. I feel more calm and balanced with it. And if you said, some people argue that 1,000 views is rubbish. If you put on a film at a cinema and 1,000 people turned up, bought a ticket and watched your film,
audience.
you'd be ecstatic, wouldn't you? But it's this chase, it's this YouTube rat race and everything. I'm out of it.
Yeah.
Andy, that was the greatest transition in the history of transitions, because that's a topic that Brian taps into quite a lot and is also part of the conversation, probably. How hard it sometimes is to tell the truth. Because the interesting thing is with Brian, Sheepstar is his, let's call it the main channel and thing, and then he has his sub-brand, which is the Wolfstar, which is the really spicy videos. And views and paid views and stuff like that is part of the conversation there. So Brian, in how much of trouble did Wolfstar get you in the past?
Honestly, not a ton of trouble.
Good.
It did get my channel attacked. Somebody signed me up for bot subscribers for like a couple days, and I know who did it. I could make a video about that. I could make another Wolfstar video about the person who did it and pretty much destroy them with the amount of evidence I have, but I'm not going to. At least not right now. But yeah, I got my channel attacked, but it was getting, that video. I had the bulk of the information of that video for like 3 months. And a lot of people did. And I was expecting the wheels to fall off, or, I was expecting like this can't continue. This can't last. I don't need to be the guy to do this. It'll happen on its own or something, and it never did. And it just kept getting more and more brazen, and then a few more brazen things happened, and I was like, okay, I'm ready. And, looking back, I probably would have structured what I said. I did that in one take. I sat down, I read it. I had a lot of notes, but I did it in one take, and then it took me a week and a half to edit it because it was one take. It was an hour long. And I filmed it on my phone in 4K 60, but Apple doesn't shoot straight 60. They do variable frame rate. And Premiere Pro hates variable frame rate. So when I was done, putting the very minimal crap into the edit that I needed to do, it would not export. And I had to take the video file out, convert it, and then do it again. So I was planning... Yeah, I was planning a larger build-up from the teaser to the actual video, but I ended up just having a day because I was like, I'm done with this stupid thing. It really pissed me off. I almost didn't release it because just the technical glitches. But
do things like that, though, Brian, get you down? How do you, as a human being with thoughts and feelings, how do you battle through some of the backlash? And I'm going to ask Andreas as well, because it can be... I was given some advice, probably from Andreas, that if you're going to get into this YouTube space, okay, you've got to be thick-skinned, okay? And when people criticize you, they're not criticizing you, Andrew, as a human being. They're just criticizing what they're seeing. They're seeing a video, keyboard warriors and all that kind of stuff. But you've had a bit of stuff going on. How do you keep yourself motivated? Can you compartmentalize that? How do you rationale that in your head? Because you're still very motivated, enthusiastic, which is what I love. But how does that happen?
So I think Andreas told me he was going to ask this question, and I guess I'll ask it for you. But he's like, I think he said in the last one, like, how do you handle the difficulties of telling the truth? And I said, easy. It's not difficult. If you know anything about lying, It is more work to lie. Physically, it's more work because you have to think of an alternative. You have to work at it. You have to practice it. You got to rehearse it. The truth is easy. It's hard, but it's always easy.
That's probably one of the best answers to a question I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Almost poetry.
I don't care what happens to the other side of the truth, so long as I phrase it properly, right? But they're better off for hearing the truth, even if it stings, right? Like that's like the videos where a product doesn't perform. I had a video on one product where the entire video, I couldn't show it doing anything that I wanted it to do or what they would claim it to do, but it was productive and it led to something positive. That's what you won't have those results if you don't have real criticism, if you don't have the truth. I don't understand why that is difficult for people. I get I do know for some people out there that they have different relationships, right? I have relationships with some brands, like I can talk to some of the owners and stuff and have a chat, but I don't blow anything up their ass. I don't, I know when we're shooting and I know when we're getting to work, and they know that too. They know, like, whenever a brand has reached out to me, which is not very often, I say, like, you want to send a product on you, but once it hits my door, you don't have a say. Nothing you want to do. It's my testing. It's my video. It's my conclusion. There's no preview. I do what I want. And if you don't want that, if you don't like that, don't send the product.
Interesting.
And
Brian,
then I also tell them I live in Canada and it's going to be very expensive to ship it to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's usually another one that stops a lot of them. But I don't care.
Interesting that point you say not many people send you stuff. It's a bit of a side conversation, but and we talked about this on another podcast. All the podcasts linked together. Is I've had brands saying they don't want, and I discussed this on last one. They don't want to send anything because of the way we do our reviews. And through further conversation, they've. And a direct quote, I've got an email, I'm not going to share it, it has no value, but I've got a quote, an email from a brand saying, you've criticised products in the past, and that's the reason why they don't want anything. Okay, which is a sad state of affairs.
Smart
really,
move.
It
as a brand, smart. That's a smart 100%. Move.
Yeah, if you owned a brand, would you send a product to a detailer that arguably is going to challenge your claims? No, you wouldn't. So it makes sense, but that's the fickle nature of what we do, isn't it, really, in a funny kind of way?
Well, if I owned a brand, I wouldn't send you a finished product. I'd send it to you to make it a finished product.
Love that.
Why would I send somebody who's critical a finished product?
Yeah, when it's finished.
For a public video.
Yeah.
I would send you a development sample for validation. And a bunch of people...
Pay you for your testing work, maybe.
Yeah. Well, if you agree to do it for free, if you want to get paid for it, then you can. But then that adds another layer of complication for your channel and that brand moving forward. But, like I would, these people in brands, like these newer brands, these smaller brands who are more in tune with social media, they get it. They get it more than the legacy brands because they will take advantage of this.
Yes.
People like me are free R&D, if you think about it. And I have a rule that so far everything that I've tested pre-production has been the same formula to go to production. So I didn't have any influence over the changes to those products. It's the same thing. But if I get a product in that is an early sample and I test it and I find issues and they make a revision based on my testing, I am not reviewing that product because I had a hand in it. That's my line.
That's a good point.
I might make a video showing it working and saying all that stuff, but it's not going to go through like ranked or something. Like I got to I got to put a little space. Many other people will make a video for that product. It's it doesn't matter to me because I got to do the other half of that, which I think is cool. But
that brings us elegantly to the next question I have for you, Brian. In the last podcast, Reggie and I said that we hold ourselves to the exact same standards that we ask of others, and I will do that right now. In the last episode, I talked about the struggles I have when I decided to become a trainer for Sonex in Switzerland and a Ledermax trainer. Do you think what I say, what I test, the videos that I do are less correct, less good?
Did you think they're influenced?
And am I biased and influenced because of the fact that I'm a trainer?
I couldn't.
An honest question.
I couldn't So I can't tell specifically off the top of my head. I'd have to watch a whole ton of your work on the subject under the category. So I would want to research first your comparative takes to not those brands and see where you laid. I would then also look at the other part of the coin, which is when I went to your video to watch a review of a leather product, and you told me that you were a LeatherMax whatever trainer or brand representative or something. If you told me that in the first 5 seconds of your video, I'm going, oh, he's being honest with me at least. That's a huge step in the right direction for me. And it, I haven't used LeatherMax. It's basically not here in Canada. I think I can get it out of the States. Yet. But that's more important to me. It's like people think that I'm Mr. No Sponsor and Mr. No Affiliation. It's like I watch a ton of sponsored content, just not in the detailing genre. I am subscribed to a channel that is specifically only sponsored. It's a sub channel for Linus Tech Tips, it's like a local Canadian YouTuber for computer and that kind of stuff, like 17 million subscriber channel. One of his channels is specifically for showcases, but they do a good job, and I want to see things about new products, and it's a great way to do that. I watched their video on the new Apple Neo laptop today. I don't want to buy that product, but I wanted to see what it was, and I trust their take because I know that their audience will rip them to shreds if they pull a stunt, and they will never pull the stunt because their audience will rip them to shreds, and they've fostered that sort of environment and that sort of and that whole tech YouTube is that they're smarter. The audience is more in tune. They're more uncompromising when it comes to that kind of behavior. So they let these tech YouTubers get sponsored by the types of companies that make the products that they review, but they just keep those lanes separate. And like I said earlier, when something happens, you're going to hear about it first from all the tech tubers, all of them. All of them recently fired and banned permanently a brand from advertising for things that they were doing that they didn't like. They were doing like these, I'm not going to name names. They were basically renting computers to people forever. There was no rent to own option. You could just continually pay every month for this computer. And after like 2 years, you could have bought the computer, but they just keep making you pay rent. So somebody could pay like 3-4 times the cost of a computer by the time they upgrade it. There's no option to rent, and then really skeezy terms in the contracts. And it sat so wrong with all the tech tubers that they fired this company permanently from advertising on several channels. That's what I want creators to do in detailing. I want them to have the balls to stand up to companies and hold them accountable. And I want the companies to rise to the challenge. I want them to do better, and I want the creators to do better. I want to see that mirrored in here, and then that's how this genre could grow, and that's how people can make money, and everything can still stay on the up and up.
I love that. That came up in the last podcast. We ended the podcast with what does the consumer need to do, what does the brand needs to do, and what do people who do what we do need to do. I'm just going to quickly come to Leon. Leon is a good person to ask on this one because you've started doing YouTube with us. We had a chat about Stand By Leon. People are going to do have a pop. But when you're watching social media in the detailing domain, I mean, this is giving feedback, I suppose, to Andreas, myself, and Brian. Do you watch a video and you want to see a positive outcome, i.e., would you see it as a waste? You've watched a video for 25 minutes and right at the end, the person doing the video has turned around and said, actually, I don't recommend this. Would you see that as a waste, or do you want to see that bit to inform you, or do you want to watch a video with a hope at the end someone's going to say, go out and buy it because I've invested 25 minutes of my time and I've got something out of this video? What do you look for? What do you look for when you're watching or searching for a video?
Honesty. We've said it throughout this podcast. You want honesty, don't you? If it fails, tell me why it fails. That's great, but it fails, and I've got no problems with that at all. If it works, for the opposite end of the scale, I still want to know why it works. I don't want to just know it works. It's not about the glory or the failure. It's about the method of getting there. But that's the kind of person I am. But yeah,
you don't think you've wasted 25 minutes of your time?
30-minute video. No, not at all. Because they've been honest at the end. They've reviewed it.
Because that's a criticism that a lot of people have, isn't it? Go on, Andreas.
To expand on that, Leon, what are indicators for you where you say or where you feel that a reviewer is honest?
That's over several videos, isn't it? You can't judge a YouTuber by one video. So by progression and showing the ones that fail. If they just have videos that pass all the time, you're not getting a true reflection, possibly. But the ones that put the failures in there, as well as the successes, you're going to feel that they're more honest, aren't you? They're brave enough, they're honest enough to put that negative content out there as well.
That's a huge point. I've had conversations with other creators about the whole, like I could totally just show the products that do well in my testing and not show the products that don't do well. And I would technically be no different than I am now, in the sense of that I am still being honest. I'm still, but you're how do you say? It's like,
This is the crux. This is what this.
It's like walking out of the bathroom.
Is the important bit. Yeah.
Yeah. This is not going to be a serious answer, but it's going to show you this situation. It's like walking out of the bathroom that stinks, and someone's walking in and not telling them. Right? Like, it's the same thing. You see someone walking in, and you'd be like, "It smells." That's how I see that. It's like, if you've tested the product and it didn't perform, find the way to get the video out so that people get the information. Mm-hmm. It's positive, negative, whatever. It's all information still. It's all knowledge. It's all experience.
That answers the question that you, Andy, asked me and Reggie at the end of the last one, right? Should you publish a negative video or not?
Yes.
I agree you should, okay, but do you think a lot of, I'm careful with the words, people that do YouTube videos, I'm not calling them social influencers, I absolutely despise that. It's arrogant to suggest that I can influence someone's psychology and buying habits and all that. But do you think a lot of people...
You do.
Yeah, but I don't, there's no intent there. Some people have an arrogance to say, I'm going to release a video and I know I can change your mind. I don't do that. But you're right. If we put stuff out there, we're going to influence someone, hopefully for the better. But I think a lot of people only put the positive results out because they think it'll help my engagement with the brand. The brand will like me. The brand will send me more. And that's why it's all positive. I.e., we've done products that haven't gone as advertised. And we're lucky. We have a good engagement with the brands, and so as Andreas has mentioned, the Autobright relationship that affected a change in the ingredients. That's positive. That's good. Okay, but a lot of people are so confident if they critique a brand or a product from a brand, that's the engagement gone, and they'll just move on to the next one. So some people have got this psychology: must always be good, must always be good, must always be good, because they want to grow their channel, earn more money, and it all links in. That's my thoughts. The world according to Andrew.
You missed the overlying theme of all those reasons why they do it. It's safer. It's safer. It's safer
Absolutely.
for the creator. It's safer for the brands. It's safer for the channel. There's no controversies. There's nothing coming after them. It's just a safe line to walk where it's like, I'm not going to take these risks.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take the risks. I'm not going to risk the pullback. I'm not going to risk the pushback or fallout or whatever it might be. And and if that's what they want to do, but fine. But you're not the same caliber.
Up to the point where it is not honest and not realistic.
You're not lying, you're just not answering.
Yeah.
Right?
Good differentiation.
Yeah.
Leon?
I was going to ask if money's going to have a factor in that then as well. You know, with these the channels that aren't as honest or don't release the negative content, because I suppose
bad news sells.
If you're like, exactly, and if you're doing this because it's going to be your lifeline, the way to pay your mortgage, like you said right at the beginning, Brian, maybe there's a little bit more pressure to be that positive person. Whereas our channel, your channel, we're doing it because we love what we do. We're doing it because we want to help people out there.
Never been paid
we have
for
a little bit more freedom, maybe.
Yeah. Nothing against people getting paid.
I have a spicy follow-up question to that.
Go on, Andreas. Over to you.
Let me think how I phrase. For the viewers and the listeners, we intentionally in this podcast agreed to not name names or brands unless
that all changes now.
Unless it's public knowledge. No, it does not change now. But let me think for a few minutes. I'll come back to you later.
This is going to be good. This is going to be. It makes me nervous when Andreas starts thinking, because I'm thinking. I think that's why people, incidentally, a lot of people
He's
have been asking
redacting
you,
all of it.
He is, yeah.
I mean, How do you feel if a big influencer in our space, like we're talking millions of followers, comes out with his own brand and shares videos of other content creators, but only the positive ones and not the negative ones?
Andreas, that's not even subtle.
Not only that, but he goes ahead and publicly criticizes the people putting out negative ones. How do you feel about, how does it make the content creator look?
Not good.
I don't even need to think about it.
It's not good. And then especially when your product wins your own self-testing ranking test as well. Yeah, that's
a different story.
You know, but no, we said this all the way through. If you're going to do this kind of content, if you're going to put yourselves out on a social platform of any kind, you're going to have to accept that you're not going to please everybody. That's part of life. Unless you're what we call in the UK is auditors. So we see it in the drone community a lot. These people go out and deliberately antagonize people. So, you know, they are the ones that will stir up this negativity anyway. But if you're going to do this content, you've got to take those hits. Brian, you said it yourself. If they're criticizing what you do, it depends on how they do it, how you respond, you know. But if they're going at you personally, you say you don't care. It's the nature of the beast, isn't it?
It means they had nothing to stand on in the first place, so
Absolutely.
I don't care. But like, a big part of my channel and the way I run my channel is that nobody gets control over that, including their opinions, right? Like, if I start bowing, and I don't want to say bowing down because I think that's insulting to people that watch, but if I start tailoring what I do to just this one way, I'm giving away control of my channel. I'm giving away control to what a loud section of the audience wants. Yes. And I don't want to do that. Like, you know, the last video I did was literally comparing one spray of a sealant to a whole bunch of sprays and the difference. And I managed to show a little difference. And I was like, this is not an interesting, sexy topic by any stretch of the means, but I think it's neat. And a lot of people wouldn't make that video or even think to look into making a video like that because they are going to care more about what the audience thinks than what they want to do. But I made that video. Actually, it ended up doing pretty decent. But I made that video because I wanted to make that video.
I liked the video you did recently where you were comparing how much product to use. Okay, I think it was a spray on sealant. You had one spray and then you had loads and loads of spray. Okay, and you were looking at the tangible difference. I think the answer was more spray use. Yeah, absolutely. So that is a review I'd never even think about doing, and that's where I think you've got multiple niches. But I love those nuanced tests that think, OMG, he's right.
It's theory. It's not. I wasn't reviewing that product. I was reviewing a theory.
Correct.
And I talked to Bradley from ADS, and I said, because this was all spurred on by the low spots and the coating failing tests, and I was like, there's some spray sealants out there that require you to apply it with an applicator, let it flash, and then buff it. And
we talked about that.
And you and I talked about this. And he's like, I bet if you did 10, like 5 on 5, same product versus same product, but one with an applicator, one with like a regular spray. He's like, I wouldn't be surprised if the applicator with the flash time performs better. And I talked to Bradley. I talked to Tim from Ethos. I think I just talked to those two because those guys are easy to get a hold of. And I said, what's your theory? What's your thoughts on this? You're making these products. What's your thoughts? And Bradley said, I drench the panel when I use a spray sealant. It's water-based. It's just sitting on top. You don't have the mechanical bond that you get with a real solvent coating. He's like, you need to use more. And he's like, let it flash for, like, obviously not working in direct sunlight, like controlled environment type stuff. But and his words were like, you will use more product. That's the downside. It will be more expensive per use. But you'll get better results. And I'm seeing that. And Tim said the same thing. And then after the video came out, Tim even messaged me. He's like, good video. Like, good job. Like, that's exactly what the theory was.
Here's a conspiracy theory. Brands intentionally putting out information and videos telling you less is more is them creating a situation from the get-go where if their product fails, they can always blame it on you. Yeah, you didn't use enough.
Just use our water spot remover.
You see it all the time.
It's clogged.
Brian, what you just said a few minutes ago, I mean, you know that. We have been talking a lot about it. I have been sitting on a topic for a video, which I have not yet done and not yet released, which is exactly that. I know it's going to spur controversy. I know it's going to be negative for some people for reasons, but that those are the real struggles of telling the truth, because sometimes you sit on a topic which you know is so big and can have such big consequences that you just struggle to even create it in the first place.
Yeah, that's a good
I will
point,
tell you
Andreas.
that
That's a good point.
when I did the water spot remover video for that water spot remover that I won't name,
Which the controversy was if it does add hydrophobics on its own, or
And
if it restores them. Yeah.
and like I'm not going to spend $20,000 or $30,000 to send that off to get a lab to break it down to tell me if there's something in there that adds hydrophobics. I didn't care. All I showed was the before and after, because my van had a coating versus Fuso coat test going on the hood. And one of the coatings failed really early, but it was sent to me by a viewer. It was an open bottle, and it had just gone past that point. The coating had failed because the coating had expired.
Yeah.
And there was some comments saying like, no, that just, it's a garbage coating. And it had a bit of a history for some people having a hard time with it. But I said, regardless, it was an open bottle. We don't have ideal scenario. We can't guarantee that it hadn't expired.
Yeah.
And I got an email from somebody who makes a water spot remover who said you should use my water spot remover. It's better. And so I used it, but I used it on my whole car, which had not been clayed, polished, nothing. I had just bought that van, and I leave my cars in pretty trashy condition exterior-wise, so I have an area to test something.
Yep.
If I want to test a polish, I need swirls, and I don't want to go make them.
That's a good excuse for any content creator.
I leave my car dirty. The only thing I clean the interior because I don't want to film the interior because it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But
Same. That's why we don't do them. Trying to get lights and cameras inside, we just don't bother.
oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. But I put it on my whole van, and my whole van started beating. And I was like,
Interesting.
Was the
Interesting.
van
And
coated,
so-
previously coated, Brian?
raw. It had nothing. It had just been
Beat it.
bought
So you weren't
off of lease
unclogging
return.
something. That's interesting.
Nope. No coating,
No,
nothing.
no.
And then when I washed it, the beating went away. And when I put the water spot remover on, it came back. And I was like, oh my God, this is a thing. And I didn't make any claims about what it had. What if it had. All I said was that when I put this on my car, it starts beating. And when I wash it, it goes away. And I did the panel wipe, and I tested it twice. I got, Andreas told me go get Veritas. He commented on the videos, use Veritas. It's a good panel wipe.
That was our first interaction.
Probably one of our
actually.
first exchanges, yep.
Yep.
Yeah, my first time I talked to this guy, and I spent like $30 on a panel wipe. He's an expensive friend. But like,
He did
you're like,
send it to you free.
and I went,
Come on, he knows
no,
Reggie.
he did. He sent me ADBL, synthetic spray wax, and a
One-
bunch of chocolate.
Great product.
So
One of the
that was
best
nice.
spray-on waxes on the market, and I still say that to the day. ABDL, synthetic spray.
Brian
wax. Love it.
confirmed it. That's why I sent
Brilliant,
it to him.
brilliant product. Leon, I'll have
Yeah,
to introduce you
it does
to that.
really well.
Yes,
it
please.
does really well. But and then I tested it again, and the funniest thing is, and this is why I love like Carzilla, because first off, they have one of the best selections in Canada when it comes to raw products. So regardless of any other reason, they've got a huge ass selection, and you are fairly well served. Their support is fantastic.
For
But
the
after
listeners in the UK, that's a huge reseller of car care products in Canada, right?
Canada and US.
Yeah.
They ship
Yeah.
to the US,
Yeah.
but they're based in
okay.
Canada. And so they send me free products occasionally. I can request free products for them. So I actually don't really deal with brands because I can deal through them.
Yeah.
But they want no part of the online fame or fortune. They want to
the
stay
idea.
out of it.
Yeah.
So I
idea.
guess I just sort of halfway not really represent, but like I'm the worst representative in the world because nothing's safe. I asked them for a certain ceramic coating that came out around SEMA, maybe. And he said no. He's like, I don't want to get this ruined yet.
That's a compliment, Brian, really.
Right? But he's once the maybe an updated formula of this water spot remover came out, he emailed me. He's like, I'm sending this to you because I want to know if it does. This one does it too. Like, I didn't buy it. I didn't look into it. He sent it to me because I want to see if this does it. Like, he's into it too. So You know,
Really
that
interesting-
just sounded hilarious.
Really interesting what you said about the fallout remover adding imparting some kind of hydrophobicity.
Water spot, not fallout.
Water spot.
Sorry, water spot. Right. We tested last year a wax or an LSP remover, out bottle liquid product that kills waxes, sealants, and everything. So we shot the video, which was beading up. Applied this product, rinsed it down, no hydrophobicity. But then we washed the car after that, and the hydrophobicity came back. So
Magically.
that product is leaving something behind, which suggests the hydrophobicity's gone, which is fooling people into thinking it's working. But when you wash it off, it all comes back again, and it blew my mind
here.
Is the video online?
So again,
Is
the
the
video
video
isn't
online?
online yet. The video of us we took.
All right.
It's not yet. No, we've only found this out 2 weeks ago when we used it. We washed it and it came back again.
Okay.
And I asked Carl, "Have you used the wax remover?" He said yes. I said, "Well, he hasn't." He goes, "Well, I did. I just washed the car afterwards."
I will ask you after the podcast which it
Yeah.
was, because I had similar.
I'm gonna be
experiences, yeah.
I'm gonna be cheeky here and say, so it didn't totally remove
No,
the product.
it didn't. It hardly. It removed.
That was
it
a
bit.
hint. That was a hint.
Right, got you. Yes, correct, Brian.
I don't know if it was that. Okay.
I don't think it's that one, Brian.
No.
I don't think
Oh.
it's that one.
I'll tell you which one it is.
Because
I'll-
that one that I think you think it is does not remove anything. Like
Oh, no, this one
literally
does.
Nothing.
I don't think it did from what I've seen, but
This one
I don't
definitely
buy
does.
into any kind of liquid remover of any kind.
And
for
we
any
are very sorry to
Yeah.
be so cryptic, but sometimes we have to stay fair.
Yeah.
Well, they said we
if-
weren't
if
going to
so-
name names and name
Yes,
brands.
and if something is not confirmed, we will not blame him.
I mean, it did get back in my head that, to remove LSPs is my way of thinking it's got to be an element of abrasion.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
a
but
lot, a lot of abrasion sometimes, depending on the LSP. So I'm running into an issue with the 8 coatings on my hood where some of them are not performing. And I polished the hood with a firm enough foam, basically as hard as you get with foam, and a medium compound. All the swirls were gone. It had light coatings on it prior to that, and they were very damaged from incorrect procedure with a very strong water spot remover that just wrecked them. But that just because the hydrophobics are gone doesn't mean that there isn't bits and pieces of them on the paint still preventing application.
Yes.
And so within my chats with Tim from Ethos, Bradley from ADS, Joel from Underdog, we all chatted about this separately, threw theories around and stuff, because Joel messaged me. He's like, I'm not saying you do anything wrong, but your results are interesting. Same with Bradley, same with Tim, but we all just sort of brainstormed. And there's a couple theories there. 2 of them were interesting. One is that you really need a fiber pad and a heavy pad compound to get off a coating to prep for the next coating. One of the guys said, if I am coating a car that was previously coated, I'm doing wool and then finishing. He's like, I'm hitting it hard. And the other theory was that these coatings that have a very high activity level, high solids percentage or high active ingredient, whatever you want to call it, have to compromise themselves, this is the theory, with less solvent.
Yeah.
And the
You
less
mentioned that on
solvent
one
they
of your
put in a
recent
coating.
videos, didn't you? I saw you talk about this
My
in one of your videos.
really terrible wash and talk where I had so many audio problems that really made me angry. But
You did
yeah,
say that on your
I
video,
was-
didn't you? Yeah.
I know what caused it, and it's the most embarrassingly terrible thing. But I'll tell you right after I finish this. But basically, he said the activity level, the less solvents, the less it can get through that extra level of crap that could be in the way. And that's why some of the coatings are still working, because they have got more solvents and less activity level, and some of them failed. And so that was a really interesting theory, and I have to restart that test, but I just don't have the time because I'm waiting on I'm going to bring the van into the garage, which is a lot of hassle. I'm going to start more than one test. So I have other products coming to start another test at the same time. So I'm cleaning and polishing and prepping once instead of 3 times.
Brian, I didn't tell you yet, but there's a a secret tip in regards to Veritas, the panel wipe I recommended to you. It is a very good product to test whether a coating was removed or not, because if you spray it on the panel pure and it still starts to
beat up or
not
contract?
beat up, but like no, not sweat, like attract it to itself or shrinking, then you know there's still coating on it. If it sits completely flat, you know everything was removed.
Okay. I guess I'll have to buy another bottle.
I'm
really low.
He'll send you one. He's a good egg, Andreas.
Reggie, ask Reggie.
It's faster to get it from Carzilla.
Yeah.
A lot faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, but so then my mic. So here's my funny thing about being a creator. My mic issue. I use a tripod that's designed to hold a very heavy camera, but I mounted a cage in it that has all the mounting stuff for like a microphone or a light or what have you. I just mount microphone receiver, and I had lint in the port on my phone where I put the adapter, which I've been playing with this entire podcast. So it made just a half a connection on the audio pin, and that's why it was staticky. I re-recorded the whole thing. So I washed my whole car, recorded like a 25, 30-minute long video, heard the hissing, and it's like, crap, I got to redo this. And so I re-recorded it, and I don't work off a script. I don't work off a script. And so I don't quite say the same things. I get I get the gist of what I wanted to say out, but I re-record it, and I accidentally, while the phone was, the mic thingy was plugged in, but nothing was turned on and it wasn't in video mode, the clamp that holds my phone into the tripod pushed down on the volume rocker and dropped the mic level down on the phone.
You can't predict that, can you?
And I didn't see it. And then the volume level was super low, and anytime I tried to boost it, it turned back into hiss. And I've done audio engineering, and I don't have quite the level of software for that. And so I was so mad. And then I put that video out, and I made a big disclaimer at the front. I'm like, this is terrible audio. I'm so sorry. Because audio matters a lot more than video.
Yeah, it does.
If the audio is annoying, you can't escape it. You can't look away from that, right? So, yeah.
It fatigues you, doesn't it? We've had so many issues with that. A quick story. The last wax we reviewed, it was the third attempt. The first time we washed the car, I went to get my GoPro out, and do you know the media mod that allows you to put your 3.5mm jack in for your receiver for your cordless mic? Forgot that. We had to can that video. 2 weeks later, we went somewhere and it started raining. So the audio thing, there's so many of our videos, I'll be sitting there in my editing software, everything happy, I'll import a video in to do the next bit, and our Rode mic system hasn't picked up the audio. Straight away, it's too late. I could do a talk over, and then like you were saying, Brian, with low volume, you need some fancy software to get rid of the hiss but bring the audio up, and it still retains that fidelity. It goes all digital, so it's sharing tough. Your pain. It's horrible. It's horrible.
That was that was a good lesson to learn, because now I don't make that mistake anymore. But I still, when I finish filming, because like usually when I film a video, the last thing I film is me talking. That's the last step, because I want to have the knowledge of what happens as I go through that before and after process. Because it helps me come up with what I'm going to say, because I already know what's going on. I can sort of lead you. But once I finish recording that, I usually just film it in one thing, and I just pause in the middle, fart, burp, or whatever I have to do, and then record the next bit. And as soon as I hit stop, I go and I pull the mic jack out, and I listen, and like, okay, good, the audio's good. That's the first thing I do.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, I'm sitting back down in that chair and I'm doing it again.
Yes. Interesting what you said there about just quickly, and then we're gonna go to the final.
Farting and burping.
We're nearly 2 hours. But we deliberately always, and I've had this a discussion with someone else. Some people shoot a video and they'll do a voiceover. Okay, so they'll shoot all the A-roll, do a voiceover. We deliberately don't do that, because my head's saying, if you do it, okay, and then do a voiceover at the end, your narration isn't as raw as turning a microphone on and talking while you're doing it. You get emotion, you're getting real feedback. You're not getting a summarized, reflective thing. But there's pros and cons to either, and that's why I never ever do voiceovers albeit a lot more technical. Every video you need to be mic'd up and everything, but that's the way we do it. But it's interesting to see how different people do it. I think both have got benefits, both have got pros and cons and all that kind of stuff. And I think you mix it up, do you, Brian? Do you do live as you do, and then you do a voiceover as well? I've seen you do both.
I don't. I have done voiceovers a couple times, because I didn't really have a system in place for the alternative, which is what I do now, which is what I did in that last video. That's that I write down my notes that I want to say that go with the clip that I'm going to overlay. And I just sit there in the chair and start talking about that part and put the clip over so that it's like a voiceover, but it still has that realism. Because I'm not writing my lines, I'm just writing points. And that's what I prefer to do, because it still has, once the clip goes away, it doesn't, nothing in my delivery of audio and dialogue changes. It's just, now you're back looking at my stupid face. But that's like my perspective, is that when I hear a voiceover, I hear, the skeptic, the cynical is like, oh,
I'm the same.
It's fake. When you see a movie and you're like, oh, that sounds so good, and then you're like, that's all ADR. That's all ad-libbed. It's all done. It has to be perfect. And I get that. You're recording a music, you're making a movie. It's got to be perfect. We don't have to be perfect in that way. We have
totally
to be
agree.
Real.
Me and Ian have agreed with that as well.
There are instances where you almost have to do voiceovers because polishing is very loud, running a pressure washer is very loud, but you can do it smartly. You can just tone the original sound clip down so you still hear the polishing and then do a voiceover with it.
It's a more technical way of doing
very
it.
Smart and technical, if we want to be technical, if you're a very smart content creator, you use voiceovers or B-roll strategically if it fits the message that you're trying to bring across.
Absolutely.
That's very sneaky.
I have a question, and I've been teased Andreas really hard about this one, I think, yesterday. But it's something that I wanted to sort of ask you guys, because it fits into the theme of what's happening in our genre and ties into sort of what this whole series has been talking about. But so it's a kind of like a two-parter. The first part would be, what is the most basic, simple answer if you were to say, what is YouTube? If it's the most simple one-sentence answer you could say to describe what is YouTube? There is a right answer.
Okay, so what is YouTube? In what we do, or just generally stepping back, looking at YouTube?
No, what is the website?
Okay.
What is YouTube itself?
YouTube is a mechanism for communicating your thoughts and feelings to an audience beyond human contact. Okay, so it's a conversation. It's a method by which you can communicate something to a potentially unlimited audience. It's a communication tool.
Leon, what's your answer?
Well, you said one word, and that was many words, Andy, but I was going to say a voice.
I said one sentence.
One sentence.
I like to talk.
I agree
Don't
with
criticize
Andy.
your boss.
Oh no, I do
done,
that all the
Andreas.
time. That's part of the course.
Come on,
I think
doggy, behave yourself.
It's a voice. You can have a voice. You can have. I use YouTube a lot to learn new skills. So I'm using a new videoing software. I'm watching all the videos on there. So I find it instructional. I find YouTube quite a great place to learn.
Andreas, what is YouTube?
Me, it's the modern version of TV, and that's it.
Okay. So your answers aren't wrong, but it's in the name, and the people living in the UK, you'll have to change the name, the meaning of the word tube. But it's you on the tube, right? It's you on a TV.
Yeah.
That's what YouTube is, right? It's you having your own TV channel that stars you. When YouTube very first came out, you were not looking at brands and companies and stuff. You were looking at random people putting stuff up on a website and funny videos, like America's Funniest Home Videos plus every other genre you could probably think of. And it's like hobbies, passions, whatever you like. My understanding is that it is you getting your own TV channel and people can come check you out. And I think the simplest way of understanding that is that that channel is you. My follow-up question When is the last time you watched a YouTube channel where you thought you were just seeing that person?
In
When was the
general
last-
or detailing related?
Oh, so
Throw the detailing in probably as a heavy weight, but like when was the last time you watched a channel where you thought, I'm just watching that guy do something. I'm just seeing what he's doing, and there's nothing else going on.
I watch paddleboarding videos, and there is a specific one where they just record themselves going down the river. They're not selling anything. It's not about the board that they're standing on. It's not about the life vest or whatever they've got on. It's just them and their journey. So
Yeah.
I think I'm seeing the person, not
Yeah.
an advert or products and all.
But you had to think, right? You
Yeah,
had to
yeah.
think
not
hard
common.
about the last time you just saw somebody putting out content for the heck of it, and they were doing their thing in control. And I think it's not a lot of that. It's become
really
like
good question,
a
though.
free commercial for everyone who can pay to play, Like, you think of, like, how much advertising a brand can do on here, and they can get paid by the platform to put their advertising on there, whereas before you wanted a commercial, how much money do you have to pay to put a commercial on television, or on a radio, or on a billboard? It's shifted, and it's not great.
I have an example. I have an example where I think I watched someone in the detailing space being just him. Matt Obsessed Garage, when he removed the PPF from his GT3 RS and it failed. I think that was just pure him, without any
Did you see the
intention
follow-up
behind it
for
whatsoever.
that?
Yeah.
The solution to that was just buying another Porsche.
That's general. I think with Matt is just Matt most of the times, and I think that's a good example.
I think he's a good example of somebody being true to himself.
Yeah.
But it's not just him. There's a team behind
true.
him. There's a
Yeah,
business
true.
behind it too.
True, but
And I'm not faulting that guy one bit. He is very honest and open about what he's doing and what his objectives are. And I have all the respect in the world for somebody who puts it out there and is like, this is what you're going to get into. If you don't like it, leave. And he doesn't care. And I think that's the right way to do it, for sure. But there's not many channels where you're just watching like that old vibe of YouTube where you're just watching some person doing their thing.
It's interesting. First of all, Brian, that is a cracking question I've never heard and really got all of us thinking. Yeah. The only person I come up with, I follow a channel called Katie Roams, and it's a girl that goes out wild camping. I just analysed, when you asked that question, why am I watching it? It's nothing to do with camping. I enjoy watching her as a human being. It's really weird. I don't fancy her or anything. I just like
some people
her
are
journey.
interesting.
Just interesting person. And I've just thought about the detailing channels I watch, and this is a weird thing to say, because I'm so skeptical about a lot of people who do YouTube, really skeptical, because we're on the industry, we know why people are doing things, and people have got various reasons, and I respect that, whether they want to be X, Y, Z. But the very few YouTube channel in the detailing context that I watch aren't actually to do with the detailing knowledge I learn. It's them as human beings. I find people interesting, and maybe Andreas and me, maybe that's a psychology thing in me. I love watching human beings. I love why they say things. I analyse why they say things. I like seeing their reaction. I can strip through the BS and see the honesty and everything. And it's the human being that I enjoy, not necessarily what you're teaching me, showing me. Which is bizarre. It's weird that I'm admitting that.
No. It's not bizarre, but that's a cracking idea for your own YouTube channel. You reacting to and analyzing other content creators in this space. That's a cracking idea. That will be... I will watch the heck out of that.
I will 100% join that channel.
Well, do it.
Andy, we have the perfect idea for your future. That is amazing.
Andreas is giving me more work. I can't keep up.
That is amazing. Dear God, that would be...
I personally think tier lists are the laziest form of content you could possibly make. You could not make a harder advertisement than a tier list. And my way to counter it is to make a tier list for creators and then rank all the creators. But I don't know if I want to be that mean yet.
Yeah, you're warming up, right?
I don't think I will need an S tier on my list. Let's put it that way.
Right, guys, I'm going to be aggressive.
Good one.
We've been going for over 2 hours, and I'm going to be aggressive with this one, because me and Leon have got to get back to work at some point, don't we? It's early in the morning. I might let
Our
Leon work.
units pass, so...
I might let Leon. I've got to go to work, but I might. Leon may work from home. But I think we've got enough. We haven't. I mean, I've got loads and loads of questions. I think we need to get Brian back on a future episode. So first of all, Brian, would you come back on a future podcast?
For sure.
That would be awkward if you said no, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
That would have been
This
really, really
episode's
bad.
never saw the light of day.
Absolutely, yeah. What happened to that podcast? So we are going to get you back on. We've got. I love your honesty. I love your angle. I love your perspective. I think it's fresh. It's what we need to hear. I'm just going to ask you one more question. Unless anyone's got any juicy things that we've totally sidestepped, I'm going to just ask you a quick point and shoot. So this one's to you, Andreas. Water beading. You can answer it. Water beading is the most important indicator of protection. Yes or no?
No, but it's a good indicator.
Excellent, Brian.
Is it
these
the
are
best indicator?
These are all
No,
future
but
podcasts.
it's a good one.
Podcast idea. One for Brian. The detailing industry produces too many products. Discuss.
Yep.
Oh,
They absolutely do. And it's you know why you know that they're producing too many products is there's not that many different places that make products from the ground up. They're all coming from only a handful of places. So yes, there's too many.
That's why they need to make tier lists.
Leon. The current
Yes.
the current state of the detailing market we've discussed a lot on social media. Who's primarily to blame? The end user, social influencers, or the brands?
oh, that's a good one. Thanks for that, Andy. Cheers.
This is going on your
I
annual
think
report.
Right, I think the consumer's led, because we talked about this before, haven't we? So, the consumer's bombarded with a lot of products, and then they'll have shelves and shelves of stuff that they're never going to use. So that could be the marketing. So that could be the companies. That could be YouTube. That's a difficult question. I don't think I've got an answer. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I've got an answer. I think everybody has their part to play, but more towards the marketing and production than the consumer.
Good answer. It'd be easy to blame I've heard people on other podcasts saying it's the end user. The end user is the people with the
I
money.
don't think
They
so.
have the control. But I don't agree with that. No,
No.
I don't. I agree.
Let
I agree.
let them spend their money. They only hurt themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm a bit
absolutely.
disappointed in Andreas, by the way. Can I tell you why?
Shoot.
I've got new
Speak of it.
headphones, Audio Mechanica headphones, and you haven't said, "Oh, Andy, new headphones." These are brand new. They come in their own
I'm
little
sorry.
pouch and everything. You meant to notice such things. Right then,
I feel bad because I have Sennheisers right over there, but I can't
Nothing
plug
wrong
them
with
into my MacBook.
Oh,
Plug them in.
Shame on you. Shame
Leon,
on you.
So I gotta
Andy,
use these
before
junk.
Andy, before you end, just a quick, let's say, a sneak preview, because Andy and I talked about it. We now have had two different perspectives, but they both were perspectives from the reviewer's side. And we talked about maybe it's also good to have a different point of view on the same topic, but from the brand side, because we blamed brands quite a lot. But let's talk with some brands about this same topic. Maybe that's an additional perspective we can bring into it, and then we have a holistic view on this whole truth issue.
I don't
That's
think it's
something
the
we're
brand's
working on in the future.
I don't think it's the brand's fault. The brands have been around a long time. Only the content creators have been around the short time, and that's when all the things got grey. I think it's the content creator problem.
I
We can
actually
ask
agree.
them that.
I agree with that, Brian. And maybe I'm part of the problem. Maybe we're all part of the problem. Discuss. Okay, Brian, we're going to get back on that one. So I'm just going to quickly go round the room just to give people opportunity to say what's coming up. Like I say, I think I've touched about a fifth of what I wanted to talk about, which is great. We've talked for 2 hours. Okay, that's how things go. And Brian, it's official, has agreed to come back on the podcast. And I've loved this. I've really enjoyed this. So just quickly from me, the Car Boutique, we've got loads of podcasts. We're shooting another podcast next Wednesday. We'll keep the podcast coming. Okay, so like I said to everyone listening and watching, get involved with the conversation. We've said stuff that you might agree with, disagree with. Put the comment down below and we will reply to them. It's a conversation. It's not just a snapshot here. So we're just going to carry on doing what we're doing. Andreas will keep us busy. Andreas, what have you got coming up? You do a lot of podcasts. You're working with a lot of people. Anything major that you can divulge, or is it all hush-hush secret like you usually?
I'm just waiting for the next monumentally stupid claim that a brand puts out to then debunk it.
Lovely.
That's just beautiful. That's just beautiful. Leon?
Well, it's everything you're doing, to be honest, Andy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've got quite a few things that we're working on right now. And it sounds cryptic, but I don't want to spoil anything inadvertently. So yeah, there's quite a few things we're doing.
Yeah, and just to wind Andreas up, who doesn't understand, our new gazebo should be arriving any day.
Oh, so waiting for that.
So
That's gonna be
exciting!
amazing.
It's so exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Brian, you're going to love
what
this
a
gazebo.
revolution.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Brian, aka Sheepstar, tell us what is coming up with you in the next few months. Stuff that you can tell us about.
I don't discuss any future content publicly because I've had it be stolen before. So yeah,
Same.
I keep my creativity to myself.
No, I am with that one. We said something and someone else started doing it. We weren't happy, so I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
Total respect. So, has anyone got any final questions in this current episode, or is everyone looking at the time thinking, "OMG, 2 hours 11 minutes? That's amazing." Is everyone happy? Around the room.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm sort of awake now, so I'm happy.
Absolutely. Right, okay, so as always, Andreas Schwarzinger, thank you very much for setting this up. You are welcome, and indeed, we basically want you on pretty much all our podcasts. Okay, you add value, which is great. Leon, thank you very much. Good insight, different angle, which we appreciate. Big shout to you, Brian. Thank you very much for staying up late. It must be is it pushing midnight? Is it past midnight yet with you, or?
It is 1:30 a.m.
Dear God.
Total
So
respect.
please, everyone who listened to this one, please go ahead and visit Brian's channel. And if you like his videos, maybe leave him a thumbs up
Absolutely.
and also leave him a subscription.
Absolutely.
If you want.
I will
Don't have
leave.
to.
I will
Yeah,
leave
you
links
have
to. You do. I will leave links to everyone's social media, and I'm not just saying it to inflate his ego. Go and watch a few of Brian's videos. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say, and you'll see why a lot of people have value in it. There's a freshness, there's an honesty, but make your own mind up, okay? Make your own mind up. I went to watch a few recently. I ended up having a 3-hour binge because I loved what he did. So, Brian, thank you very much. Anyone working with Brian tomorrow, stay clear. He's going to be very tired and he's going to be very grumpy, okay? But he's doing his bit. So, I thank you all.
He's always grumpy. He's always
Yes.
grumpy. That's
He's all- okay.
That's my secret cap. I'm always angry.
That's it. So, gentlemen, probably the four handsomest men on YouTube at the moment, supporting very strong beards. Not as strong as Brian. Brian wins the beard award.
No, he wins the beard.
Oh yeah, definitely.
compete with that.
We all lost.
I'm glad I didn't clean up yet. Yeah.
Excellent. So, everyone, if you like what we do, hit subscribe. If you don't like what we do, tell us why in the comments. Okay, everyone's got an opinion, and join us for the next podcast on Waxed and Unfiltered. So, gentlemen, thank you very much. Give everyone a wave goodbye,
Thank you.
and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.
See you soon.
Yeah.